Hello, everybody. My name is Ronnie Patel, and today I'll be presenting my literature review on ocean acidification and coral reef resilience. Ocean acidification is one of the biggest environmental challenges facing marine ecosystems today. As more carbon dioxide is released into the atmosphere, the oceans absorb a large portion of it, which changes the chemistry of seawater. These changes have serious effects on coral reefs, which are some of the most diverse and important ecosystems on Earth. In this presentation, I'll explain what ocean acidification is, summarize some major findings from scientific literature, discuss both global and local impacts, and finish by talking about future solutions and why protecting coral reefs is so very important. My first slide is background and research question. To understand why coral reefs are being affected, it's important to first understand what ocean acidification even is. The world's oceans absorb about 25% of the carbon dioxide that humans release into the atmosphere through activities such as burning fossil fuels and deforestation. Although this helps slow climate change, it also changes the chemistry of seawater itself. When carbon dioxide dissolves into the ocean, it reacts with water to form carbonic acid. This lowers the pH of seawater and reduces the amount of carbonate ions that are available. Carbonate ions are essential because corals use them to build their calcium carbonate skeletons. As carbonate ions become less available, corals have a harder time growing and maintaining strong reef structures and recovering after environmental disturbances. This led me to my research question. How does ocean acidification affect the health, growth, and long-term resilience of coral reef ecosystems? I chose this question because coral reefs provide habitat for thousands and thousands of marine species, protect coastlines from erosion, support commercial fisheries, and contribute billions of dollars to tourism and recreation. Being able to understand how ocean acidification affects these ecosystems can truly help us guide future conservation efforts. My next slide is main research findings. To answer my research question, I reviewed 5 peer-reviewed scientific studies that examined different aspects of ocean acidification. Even though the studies each use different methods and focus on different coral species, they all reach very similar conclusions. The research showed that ocean acidification reduces coral calcification, which means corals build their skeletons more slowly. As reef growth slows, coral reefs become weaker and less able to provide habitat for marine life. The studies also found that larval settlement declines. This means fewer younger corals successfully attach to the reef and grow into adult colonies, making recovery after bleaching events, storms, or disease much more difficult. One study also showed that while some coral species are able to tolerate changing conditions better than others, these adaptations require additional energy. As a result, corals have fewer resources available for growth, reproduction, and recovery. Overall, all 5 studies all supported the same conclusion, that ocean acidification weakens coral reefs and reduces their long-term resilience. My next slide is regional and local effects. Ocean acidification is a global problem, but its effects can be seen at both international and local levels. One of the most well-known examples is Australia's Great Barrier Reef, where ocean acidification and rising ocean temperatures have contributed to widespread coral bleaching and slower reef recovery. Similar patterns have also been observed throughout the Caribbean, where coral growth has declined and algae has replaced living coral in many areas. These changes reduce biodiversity and make reef economies less stable. These effects are also being seen here within the United States. In the Florida Keys, coral reefs have experienced significant declines because of the ocean acidification combined with the warming temperatures of the water, disease, and poor water quality. Even in New Jersey itself, changing seawater chemistry can affect shellfish such as oysters and clams. Since these species rely on carbonate ions to build their shells, ocean acidification threatens important fisheries and coastal ecosystems in their own region. These examples show that ocean acidification is not a distant environmental issue. It has consequences that can affect ecosystems and communities all around the world, no matter where. My next slide is discussion and future directions. One of the biggest conclusions from all the research I looked at is that ocean acidification rarely acts alone. Instead, it works together with other environmental stressors, such as rising ocean temperatures, pollution, overfishing, and disease. These combined pressures make it even harder for coral reefs to survive and recover. Scientists are working on several ways to improve coral reef resilience. These include establishing marine protected areas, restoring damaged reefs by growing and transplanting corals, reducing pollution, and monitoring reef health over time. While these conservation efforts are important, nearly every study emphasizes that they can't completely solve the problem on their own. Because ocean acidification is driven by increasing carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, reducing greenhouse gas emissions remains the most effective long-term solution to be able to protect coral reef ecosystems. My last slide is the conclusion. In conclusion, the scientific evidence clearly shows that ocean acidification is one of the greatest threats facing coral reef ecosystems. As atmospheric carbon dioxide increases, seawater chemistry changes in ways that reduce coral calcification, slow reef growth, and make it more difficult for reefs to recover after environmental disturbances. Coral reefs are vital ecosystems because they support marine biodiversity, protect coastlines from erosion, sustain fisheries, and contribute significantly to local and global economies. My literary review found that continued scientific research, conservation efforts, and meaningful reductions in greenhouse gas emissions will all be necessary in order to be able to protect coral reefs in the future. Ultimately, protecting coral reef ecosystems will require cooperation among scientists, governments, conservation organizations, and communities around the world. Thank you for listening to my research presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions that anybody has.